3 days ago, I buried my husband. I cried over his casket. I held our daughter while she said goodbye to her daddy. And this morning, I got a text from his phone that said, "I'm sorry. I had to do it. Please don't tell anyone you saw this." My husband isn't dead. And what I discovered next destroyed everything I thought I knew about my marriage, my family, and even my own sister. My name is Sarah. I'm 34 years old. And this is the story of how I uncovered a 12-year-long lie. Michael and I met in college. He was the kind of man every girl dreams about. Gentle, funny, ambitious. We got married when I was 23. By 26, we had our daughter Emma. By 30, we had the house, the dog, the white picket fence. Everything looked perfect from the outside, but there was always something off. Michael would disappear for business trips that nobody at his company seemed to know about. He had a second phone he said was for work. And every single year, on October 14th, he would lock himself in his office for hours and refuse to talk to anyone. Not even me. I asked my sister Rachel about it once. She was Michael's best friend before she became my sister-in-law. They grew up next door to each other as kids. She just smiled at me and said, "Some men have ghosts, Sarah. Don't dig them up." I should have listened to her warning. Bridge in upstate New York. The body was, they said, unrecognizable. A closed-casket funeral. His wedding ring and his watch were recovered from the wreckage. And the DNA test came back as a perfect match. Rachel arrived at my house within an hour of the news. She didn't cry. She didn't hug me. She just kept asking me one question over and over again. Did he leave anything? A letter? A note? Anything addressed to me? I thought it was grief. I thought she was in shock. I told her no, there was nothing. She left my house that same night. And then something strange happened. She didn't come to the funeral. My own sister, who claimed to be his best friend since childhood, didn't come to her own brother-in-law's funeral. I didn't understand why. Not yet. 3 days after we buried him, my phone buzzed at 4:47 in the morning. The screen lit up the dark bedroom. It was Michael's number. My dead husband's number. The message read, "I'm sorry. I had to do it. Please don't tell anyone you saw this." My hands started shaking. I called the number immediately. Straight to voicemail. His voice, calm and familiar, telling me to leave a message. I called again and again, 43 times in a row. Then suddenly, a different number called me back. Unknown caller. I almost didn't answer, but something told me I had to. It was a woman's voice on the other end. She said, "Sarah, please listen carefully. I know this is impossible. I know this sounds insane. But Michael is alive. He's been alive this whole time. And I'm the reason he had to disappear from your life." Her name was Jennifer. She said she was Michael's sister. But that was impossible. Michael didn't have a sister. Michael had told me 100 times that he was an only child. His parents died in a car accident when he was 17. He had no family. That was one of the things that drew us together. Jennifer asked me to meet her at a diner 2 hours outside the city. I shouldn't have gone. Every part of me said it was a trap, but I went anyway. When I walked through the door, I almost passed out right there. She looked exactly like Michael. Same eyes, same jawline. She slid a manila folder across the table without saying a word. Then she finally spoke. Everything your husband told you about his past is a lie. Every single word. Inside the folder were old photographs. Michael at 17 years old. But the name written on the back wasn't Michael. It was David. There was a newspaper article inside the folder, dated 2007. The headline made my blood run cold. It read, "Local family murdered in home invasion. One survivor." That survivor in the article was my husband. Except his name wasn't Michael back then. His real name was David, and he had a whole other family. Jennifer looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, "I was 3 years old that night. I was hidden in a closet when it happened. He thought I was dead too. He went into witness protection. He changed his name to Michael. He started a brand new life. And he told no one. Not even you." I asked her the obvious question. Why now? Why fake his death after 12 years of safety? Why leave me and our daughter behind? She looked me dead in the eyes and said something that stopped my heart. Because the man who murdered our family just got out of prison last month. And he's been hunting David ever since. I drove home that night in a complete daze. My husband was alive. He had lied to me for 12 years about who he really was, about his name, his family, his entire identity. But he did it to survive. I could forgive that. I could understand that. Or so I thought. When I got home, I opened my laptop to look up the 2007 article online. And that's when I noticed something I had completely missed at the diner. In one of the old family photographs Jennifer had given me, there was a little girl standing in the background, maybe 6 or 7 years old. I had assumed she was just a neighbor's kid. I hadn't paid any attention to her. But something made me zoom in on her face. And when I did, I felt the entire world stop spinning around me. It was Rachel. My sister, Rachel. Standing in the yard of the family that was murdered. But that wasn't the worst part. That wasn't even close to the worst part of what I saw in that photograph. Rachel, my own flesh and blood sister, was holding the hand of a man. A man Jennifer had described to me in detail at the diner. The man who had murdered Michael's entire family. Suddenly, every strange thing about my marriage clicked into place. Every October 14th, the anniversary of the murder. The day Michael always locked himself in his office and shut the world out. The day my sister Rachel always found some excuse to come over and check on him. She wasn't his best friend. She was his witness. I drove straight to Rachel's apartment that night. I pounded on her door until she opened it. I shoved my phone in her face with the zoomed-in photograph. I expected denial. I expected tears. I expected screaming. Instead, my sister just sat down on her couch, calm as a corpse, and said, "I wondered when you'd finally figure it out, Sarah." She told me everything that night. The man who murdered Michael's family wasn't some random stranger. He was their neighbor. He was Rachel's father. And Rachel and I, We share the same mother, which meant that man, that killer, was also my biological father. The father my mother had told me died when I was just a baby. Rachel had found Michael years later in college, on purpose. She introduced him to me on purpose. She said, I needed someone to keep an eye on him. I knew Dad would get out one day. I needed Michael to trust someone in our family when that day came. So I gave him you, Sarah. I gave him my own sister. Michael is in real hiding now, with Jennifer's help. Rachel disappeared the night I confronted her. The police are searching for her and for our father. And I'm sitting here, holding my daughter, wondering if anything in my life was ever real. If you think you know the people closest to you, ask yourself one question. What would you find if you actually looked?